What is going on, YouTube? So come back today with my final announcements of free agency on a wild day of free agency. In my opinion, the most wild day of free agency that's happened so far. Obviously, KD to the Warriors being the most notable things here, but I got a few new announcements and a few rants to make. I don't really do rants ever, but this one involves a team that's one of my favorites, and that's when I actually bring emotions into sports. So, first one, Zaza Pachulia, about 1 year, $3 million to the Warriors. Good move. They had to sign someone. Bogut was gone. Zaza, guy that will get you probably 9 points, 9 rebounds, maybe a double-double at most if you start him per game. Useful player off the bench for the amount you get him for. I think a good deal. Seth Curry to the Mavs. 2 years, $6 million. The Mavs are a very different looking team right now. If you have not kept up today, this is a team that just acquired the brother of Steph Curry, Andrew Bogut, and Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes for way more than they should have signed him for, in my opinion. But we'll see. We've never seen Harrison Barnes in his own role. This is a situation you get players out of. When you get a player that's like Harrison Barnes, that, he's been in a situation where he shows a lot of potential. Potential always draws teams, but you don't know how a player's going to react. Is he going to have the James Harden effect? Is he going to turn into an immediate superstar? Or I'm trying to think of someone who's bottomed out after signing with his own team. Maybe Lance Stevenson. Maybe that's probably just because I'm a Pacers fan. Didn't do shit. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. We'll see. But that's my own Harrison Barnes thing. Seth Curry to the Mavs, 2 years, $6 million. Decent move. Best year he's had in the NBA so far. Again, this is a team that's probably starting some combination of Darren Williams, Seth Curry, Harrison Barnes, Andrew Bogut, and Dirk Nowitzki. It's an okay starting lineup. It might make the playoffs. Better than what the Mavs were looking at anyway. The Mavs are a team that draft okay to mediocre to bad, and then tend to find one gem in the rough every once in a while that leads their franchise, aka Dirk Nowitzki. All right. Tim Duncan, most likely retiring. I said this in some video before. I like Tim Duncan, but, if you watched him this year, it was time. Anthony Randolph, drawing interest from teams. Add some depth to some team. Not much to say about that. Russ will not extend his contract with the Thunder. Something that's not been talked about a lot on YouTube today. At least not that I've seen. This is big. This means that Russ will most likely not extend with the Thunder, and this means that that's a Thunder team long-term looking at Steven Adams, Domantas Sabonis, and Victor Oladipo. How different that was compared to the OKC we were looking at for the next maybe 2 years. That's crazy. Then again, you never know. Free agency next year will still be wild. If you think free agency this year was wild, next year will be crazy. Before I get into the last one, Lance Thomas to the Knicks, 4 years, $27 million. The Knicks have actually done a pretty good job this offseason. As bad as they've been before, Joakim Noah, 4 years, $72 million, that was not the greatest move. But signing Lance Thomas and then Brandon Jennings, which I did not announce earlier today, his contract was, 1 year, $5 million. Lance Thomas, 4 years, $27 million. They add outside shooting for a price that's not too high for something that's very high in demand in basketball right now. Okay move. In my mind, they're adding depth for not a bad price. This is a Knicks team that, might make the playoffs this year. If you're a Knicks fan, I don't know if you want to. This is going to be a very good rookie class next year, no doubt about that. So keep that in mind if you haven't paid attention to it really. But this is a Knicks team that might not tank. We'll see. Last move of the day that was an official signing, at least it's worthy enough to say. Roy Hibbert, 1 year, $5 million to the Charlotte Hornets. If y'all don't know, I'm from North Carolina, so the Charlotte Hornets, just a little backstory, I grew up a Charlotte Hornets fan. They moved when I was about 6 years old. I was a huge Charlotte Hornets fan, sat courtside at a playoff game when I was 5 or 6 years old. And they move immediately to get Chris Paul 2 years later. The shitty Charlotte Bobcats come to North Carolina. And no one wants to claim the Charlotte Bobcats in North Carolina unless you're a Bobcats fan in North Carolina and you're watching this video. I'm sorry to say that. The Bobcats, and then they change to the Hornets. They start getting good again. So, you know what? It kind of gets something deep inside me that's like, oh, hey. Reaching my deep fanhood again. If any of y'all know, I am an Indiana Pacers fan. I watched Reggie Miller growing up. But Hornets are my second favorite team. The fact that Roy Hibbert cannot stay away from my favorite teams just annoys the absolute fuck out of me. Roy Hibbert, a guy last year, I mean, he's a decent defensive player, yeah, but he's trash overall. I mean, at one point he was an all-star. I mean, let's find his peak was maybe the 2013-14 season. No, I'd say 2012-13. Looking at his averages, 11.9 points per game. A very impressive 2.6 blocks per game. 8.3 rebounds. But that was it, man. Hibbert's not good. Stay away from my teams. 1 year, $5 million, so they don't have to invest too much into him. They lose. They lose Al Jefferson, actually my other favorite team, so I guess you can blame the two teams there anyway. But anyway, that's my little rant about Roy Hibbert. A few other things of note today that are not like enough to put in official news because they weren't really official news. Kevin Durant to the Warriors. I gave an entire video to that. I've done multiple videos for Kevin Durant. My reaction to all of the reactions. You know, yeah, super teams are annoying, but they're inevitable at this point in the NBA. That's the way the NBA is gone nowadays. To me, it'll be interesting to see what team can challenge them. If LeBron can take that over again, then that proves LeBron is maybe the best player ever. Dwayne Wade, will he go back to the Heat? Again, that could be in another entire separate video. But he got offered 2 years, $40 million today from the Heat. I think he's going to end up going back to him. They re-signed Hassan Whiteside. They are still a contender in the East. I think he'll go back there. I think all those other ones were just smoke screen to make the Heat sweat. It seems a little weird, the fact that he already got signed to like a hometown bonus and he had a great year, and the fact that he still has to do that for the Heat. But that also just kind of shows you the way the NBA is nowadays. I think that does it for this NBA video. You know, if free agency is big enough tomorrow to where I need to make another entire separate video like it has been the last few days, just because there's so many transactions that have gone down. Again today, another big day. Pau Gasol, Harrison Barnes, KD. Today might have been the biggest day of free agency so far. Then, sure, but if not, then I might go into my whole wrap-up of free agency a couple days down the road. So I'll keep a lookout for that, but that's pretty much it. See ya.